we're going to do a new segment that I'm really excited about. Don't quote me on this, but I'm going to give you guys 2 quotes, and we're just going to chat about them. And some of them are going to be inspirational, probably down the line. Some of them might be funny, but the idea is we're just going to pick them apart, see if we can get anything out of them. So the 2 quotes that I have today are from Zig Ziglar.
Dirk Diggler.
Yeah, baby.
Dolph Ziggler. Okay.
Dolph Lundgren. No, Zig was born Hillary Hinton Ziegler. I see why he started going by the first half of his last name.
That's a woman's name.
He was born in 1926. He was like the 10th of 12 kids. And yeah,
they were busy back then. They had nothing to do.
They had nothing better to do. I still don't have anything better to do. So anyway, 12 kids. His dad died early when he was pretty young. And then he eventually went to college, but he dropped out. He was a college dropout with natural sales ability. He spent the rest of his life refining the ability to increase performance in sales and motivate other people to seek better perspectives for themselves. So he kind of started a couple groups that worked on sales pitching and on getting people to be more effective at creating those relationships to sell. He started speaking in 1950s and didn't stop until his retirement in 2010. And he passed away 2 years after that. So once his work was done, he was tired. So Zig did a lot of stuff. He wrote a lot of books. A lot of them were inspirational, kind of self-help stuff. So two of the quotes that I picked today we're going to talk about. We'll just talk about the first one first.
Yeah.
And give it a minute to ruminate on. Zig said, "You were born to win, but to be a winner, you must plan to win, prepare to win, and expect to win."
That's deep.
How does that strike you?
That strikes very hard.
Where? Where? About?
In the face.
Okay.
In the ear holes. No. No, yeah, you got to, if you're going to win, it doesn't come easy. You have to go through the steps. It's not just showing up. It's not a showing up is half the battle. It's taking the time before you show up to make sure you're ready, that you're prepared, that when you do show up, anything that comes at you, you're going to crush it.
That's true. Well, you're about to go on a big journey in your life, right? You're out there ready to start some winning, right?
Yeah,
Zach?
yeah, trying to.
So tell us about that, like how this quote might affect, well, what you're doing and how it might affect what you're doing.
I think the quote definitely, I mean, the first thing I thought of is hard work. You know, you're given the tools, you're given a life. So, you know, like that is an extraordinary gift right there. So what are you going to do with that gift? And I mean, you can be in service of others, you can follow your passions, there's a lot you can do with it. And I think for me, I just, you know, turning 29 this week, I'm like, okay, there's a lot that I want to do and I haven't had the opportunity to do just yet. And I think for me, moving to Atlanta I have to work hard. And it's been a lot of work to get to the point where I can now like say, hey, I'm getting ready to leave the Atlanta. But, you know, that's only one step. That once I get there, I have to sustain that life. I have to create a new life. I have to, you know, get out of that comfort zone, which is not easy for me personally. I've always been a homebody. Cleveland, you know, I lived in Erie. I've traveled a lot, but I've always come home. So this is something that's going to require a lot of work, a lot of hard work, and you know, I think I have to be a little persistent. And
Nice.
To me, this quote strikes deep.
That's great because it hit me too. And I think what you're talking about, hard work, is the more hard work you can do in planning and preparing, which are two key words in this statement here, the more that work will work for you. You know, when you make a plan and it's a good plan and it's put in place, it takes certain effort out of having to worry about what you're going to do and helps you focus on what you are doing. So if you are getting all of that, you were talking a lot about the paperwork you got to do and all the union stuff that you're getting ready to accomplish. You have a plan, you know what you have to do, and now you don't have to worry about getting down there and doing it. You just have to kind of go through the motion of it and then show up the day of the gigs.
Yeah,
so
it's kind of like, you know, that game day. You know, you can prepare. And I mean, you're still going to have those nerves. You're still going to feel, you know, you might even come away with a loss, but at the end of the day, did you put in that work? Did you prepare? Did you do you also have that confidence to know that you're going to be ready game day?
Yeah. Something you really said at the top of what you were saying, Zach, stood out to me of like, you've been given a life and how your perspective on that is so amazing of like, that's a gift. You got to use it. And I think that's what the second quote actually ties into really well. And Zig said, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And that is what I see you doing. You're saying, look, I've been doing this a long time. I have these skills. I've nurtured this part of my professional life in photography. But I want to go to the next level. I want to be great. I want to use this life to be great. And you've now identified this next move of what you need to do. And you're ready to start. And it's going to start when you put your foot down on the gas on Saturday and start driving down to Atlanta. And you're on your way to being great.
Thank you. I think the life, and we talk about life, and I'm, starting out, okay, like we're living, we're here, we're human beings, but, and then I chose to have a life within photography. And I'm very fortunate to have been able to choose like, hey, I want to pursue photography. And I mean, yeah, you don't start off great. I think, there are people out there who are given gifts. I think we all have gifts. I think my gift started with noticing things and then learning the tools, putting in the hard work to learn the tools to create and document. And so I chose that life to live within photography. And I think you're right. I think it's that next step of challenging myself as a photographer. And this challenge requires me leaving my hometown and moving. It's not really to do with photography. It deals with me as a person. And I think it transcends a lot of different things.
Nice.
And that's not to dilute with other quotes, but every 1,000-mile journey starts with a single step.
Nice.
So that's kind of like, show up. That's kind of where showing up's half the battle.
Yeah.
So kind of got a dichotomy of quotes here.
Yeah. No, I mean, showing up is step one.
Yeah.
And I like how he broke it down. Like it's like plan to win, which is putting it down on paper, getting organized with what you're doing. Prepare to win, which is like getting the tools that you need, the skills that you need, making sure that you got the resources you need to win. And then if you get those two steps done, you can expect to win.
Yeah.
And that's what I like that because it unlocks your motivation. And
that reminds me of the other one. We don't rise to the level of our expectations. We fall to the level of our training.
Yeah.
And, you're not going to be as good as you think you're going to be unless you've put in the hard work,
right.
Taking hundreds of thousands of pictures, over critiquing them and, color grading and correcting and, finding the best ways to capture these special moments in time. And it's a lot of, then, people, maybe an aspiring photographer would be like, oh God, he's so good. I can't take anything like that. But like you said, you start off and, you're not that good. You might have a knack for it, but, you're probably miles beyond when you started.
Yeah.
And that says a lot.
Years. I mean, I used to think that way. Like when I first started photography, I'd always look at other people's work, and I got back into photography right at the turn of like Instagram. So like that was a new thing, and seeing people much better than me, I'm like, oh, I dreamed to be like that, but I needed that time. I needed, I've been a professional for 10 years now.
Wow.
So, but I've been a photographer for 13, and I don't think I've really like gotten to be good. I don't consider myself like good until I hit like 2016, I think is when I started noticing that the level of my hard work has matched photography,
Do you like, it's really hard, I know, for artists to acknowledge their ability, like there's different conflicts in your head of being a good person and not wanting to be too braggadocious or prideful. But like, do you acknowledge yourself now? Like, how do you encourage yourself to continue to go after being like great? And how do you acknowledge the progress that you've made, even since, like you said, since 2016?
That's a really good question. I think the biggest thing is to like look back. So like I do, and I love posting like this on Instagram. Like I'll do what I call like looking back in archives. and then looking at where I started, and even like pulling certain images that like might have like compositionally or lighting or, tones not been perfect, bringing it and taking that image, and maybe just all I need to do is add a slight crop, bring down some of the levels, bring down some of the saturations, do, whatever, throw a little bit of that magic on there. I'm like, oh, wow. All right. I was onto something. I saw something. Maybe I didn't understand that image, that photograph right then and there, but at this level and at my age now and having done this for 10 years, understanding like, okay, well, the way I see, the way I comprehend the world definitely influences the way I shoot. So, I like to go back to like certain images every like 3 or 4 years and then seeing what I could do with that, or even just taking that frame and then trying to recreate it in a different aspect. I was a photojournalist before I stepped on set. And so to take some of that photojournalism and apply it to on-set work, I try to recreate photos all the time that I've made and that are very distinctively Zach. This is the way Zach shoots. I feel like, this is what, his style is. And I try to recreate some of that, and it's not always successful, but, you just kind of, again, keep plugging away and putting in that hard work.
Is there anything encouraging you'd want to say to young photographers or artists out there that, just encouragement about how to win, how to get ready to win, or how to expect greatness from yourself?
Yeah, I think the one lesson that I wish I learned earlier and understood earlier is start to shoot for yourself. Don't, it's cool to go out there and try to make a business out of things and to make some money and you want to always buy the best gear, but to really like look for who you are as an artist and to dig deep into who you are before you start taking on clients. Go out, shoot portraits, shoot landscapes, shoot, cats, dogs. I mean, shoot for yourself, figure out what it is that you like, and don't, obviously get involved, don't let Instagram, social media overwhelm you with, well, this person's getting, thousands and thousands of likes for a photograph of, Key Bank. Like you'll see that stuff, but I mean, to shoot for yourself because you're going to be happier with who you are as an individual and as an artist if you give yourself that proper time. I jumped into trying to be a professional too early before I learned who I was as a photographer and what my voice was.
Wow. Yeah, that's really potent.
I think that's just for anyone trying to get into anything.
Yeah.
Like especially something that you're passionate about is, do it for yourself first. Find it, craft, like make those mistakes for stuff for you until you're comfortable and confident. And then, after some time of like, okay, I can have a vision in my head and then go out and pretty effortlessly, recreate that, or with some time, like I can do what I can think.
Yeah.
And, I think that's probably when you feel, ready and confident, like, okay, I can mess with other people's stuff and take your Key Bank photos.
Well, that and your network. Have a good network. And that's not just a professional network, but a network of friends who encourage you to be better and to force you like, hey, like, let's grab cameras and let's go. How many times have we walked around Cleveland and just documented ourselves? We didn't have models. We didn't have, other people to photograph but ourselves, and practice and have those people, your network, keep you accountable. That's, I think our core group has always stood by is let's keep each other accountable and push each other to that limit.
Know yourself and accountability. That's awesome. Well, I just want to speak really quickly before we wrap it up to our listeners. Zig Ziglar said, "You were born to win, but to be a winner, you must plan to win, prepare to win, and expect to win." And he also said, "You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great." So wherever you are in your life today, whatever you're feeling, just remember that you have the potential to be awesome. You are already awesome. Like our friend Zach said, you have a life. You have a life to live. It's a gift and it's important. So whatever you are interested in, whatever you want to do, no matter how menial or maybe basic you think it is, just start doing it. Just start getting planned out. Just start getting prepared, and then just start winning. We care about you. We want you to succeed. And there's people around you who do too. So find your community, plug in, and just expect and prepare to be great. So be well. Thank you.